Oh, so on that note, what are we talking about today?
That's not gonna be in there.
No,
No,
no, I can't put that in there.
no, I
With
can't
the
just.
cock holster part.
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
The rest of it,
Okay.
I can't throw her under the bus.
Oh, okay. I
Oh
won't.
man.
Yeah, I'll leave her unnamed. I don't even know. I don't know.
I feel like I just threw us for a loop there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all this 2021's throwing everything for a loop.
Yeah. Speaking of cock holsters,
Oh,
do you know that they
okay.
have cock shots? Like they call it the what is that thing? Oh, the P shot.
The pea shot.
So it's the Priapus shot. It's PRP. So it's platelet rich plasma. You guys might have heard about that, where they take your blood and they spin it down in a centrifuge, and then they pull out the plasma, and then they re-inject it. So I think that's how they do it's called a vampire facelift.
Right.
Oh, I've seen the
So I've heard of-
facials.
But there's a P shot and an O shot. So the O shot's for the females. So they'll inject it into the clitoris and the vaginal walls to rejuvenate it. And there's a P shot, which is injected into the balance or the head of the penis and the shaft of the penis. Supposedly, it's supposed to help with erections. It can also help with Peyronie syndrome. Josh Hurst.
Oh, jeez. I'm name dropping people.
Peyronie syndrome. Do you know what Peyronie syndrome is?
Yeah, it's like where
I
it's
don't.
like
Crooked.
basically bent.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like because I think there's it's normal to have a slight
slight bend,
curvature,
yeah.
but like
Yeah, when
it's where
you're-
it's like looks like it's broken.
Yeah, when you're periscoping around the corner, that's no bueno.
Yeah.
But supposedly it can help with that as well.
How does it help with that?
I don't know. So it's got to be something with breaking down scar tissue, I would imagine.
Yeah, because I think that can be created too. Like where they say like you can. It's not obviously it's not a bone, but it can be like broken. Where like
You could break a penis.
yeah, and then it just heals up that way, just like a 45-degree angle. Be a bummer.
Staring down the barrel of a 45, bro.
I always wonder how do the centrifuges work? Because like just spinning just spinning them, it doesn't make sense. Is it just because like is the plasma and different things like different weights?
Weights,
and,
yeah.
So they spin it fast enough where like the
Weights.
blood separates.
Yes, it does.
Super interesting.
It does. But besides that, it supposedly also helps with girth, and length. So growth altogether,
It's
girth
like
and length.
it's basically almost like kind of the stem cell thing. where
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah. So I don't know if I believe it, but I heard that a lady does it up in Beechwood. 'Cause a buddy was telling me about that, and he was like, "Dude, you should get into cock shots."
cock shots.
And I was like, "Well, actually, it was."
We could branch it off of your clinic.
Well,
that
that's
you
what I
were-
was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking because he was saying it was super expensive, and he was like,
Ooh.
he goes, "Dude, for prices like that, I'll grab a dick." I was like, "Well, I mean, there you go, I guess."
Vagina rejuvenation.
Yeah,
I feel like
vaginal
you
rejuvenation.
feel like you could sell that for sure.
Oh yeah. If people are willing to rejuvenate their lips and eyeballs and cheeks and everything else, then why not rejuvenate the other lips?
More lips, yeah.
All of it. All of it.
It's all about the lips and head, right?
All about that bass, bro.
Oh man. I think that'd be really cool. You could combine that because you talked about. I think we talked about that off the air with Glenn, wasn't it? We talked about
kind of forming like a aesthetic slash like testosterone slash
You could do like a 2-in-1 for couples.
boom.
there you go.
Yeah. She can fix her lady parts. He can fix whatever his issues are.
his 45
Girth,
degree
45-degree angle, whatever. I like it.
one-stop shopping. It's key.
I think it would be good.
There's a Valentine's Day gift.
Boom.
There you go.
There you go.
Go get your blood plasma withdrawn and inserted.
Whatever you do. Can you do the facials though too? Because that sounds
Probably.
It looks wicked, but it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, they started doing that. They started doing it with I don't know stem cells or whatever the word is, but where they're starting to get away from Botox and starting to do a little more of actual.
Yeah. Yeah. The stem cells and I think the PRP. The other thing they do
I don't know how all that stuff works.
the facelifts is the stitching. I can't think of what
Stitching?
it's called, but they do some sort of like stitching. I think that dissolves over time. So I had a client he was a doc, and he does like the aesthetic thing, but he doesn't do any surgeries. It's like surgery light, if you will, like all outpatient stuff.
Surgery light.
Surgery light.
Was stitching what?
So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's like under the skin and it raises everything and then it dissolves once it like sets or takes place.
Yeah, but don't you get older? You just get extra. Your skin just kind of. I mean, it's there, right? How do you
Saggy.
get rid of it?
I don't know, man. We'll have to give him a jingle, give him a call, see what's up.
Tuck it all in.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, but have you ever seen Spanx? That is sorcery.
We could-
It's all still there.
Yeah, but that's different though. You're covering it. You're completely covering it up. It's all still under. I'm saying like skin that is visible, like your face. Like
Yeah, but
You know who else had a facelift?
yeah.
Joe Biden.
Oh, well, he had a lot of things done.
Yeah. Well, you can see there's a pretty visible scar that you can see that if it was, I read some stuff from some different surgeons that said if it was done properly, you shouldn't be able to see that scar, but you can see that scar.
I mean, they're just basically trying to keep him look like he's alive
Yeah, I was gonna say
for the time being. I was
not full weekend at Bernie's.
yeah, right. We were talking about. I was at dinner the other night, and my father-in-law was talking about the Nazis and how they were World War I to World War II, and he obviously watched the documentary, obviously, and he was like, you know how they did the Blitzkrieg, right? He's like, because they were just running all over the place. I'm like, yeah, they were full of drugs.
Yeah.
He was
Lots
like,
of
yeah,
cocaine,
yeah.
lots of meth.
He's like, they were just it's all
Lots of
meth. I'm like,
testosterone.
yeah. I was like, they were pumping them full of drugs. That's why they were super soldiers.
The Nazi meth, man.
So they had some, from the stories I've heard, Nazis had some great drugs back in the day. Phenomenal. I mean, you'd have to get the fervency that they had.
Yeah, I think Trump used the same drugs that they did.
Oh yeah, no, they got to be pumping Biden full of them too. There's no way. When you watch, like, they should have given some to Clinton. Did you see him at the inauguration?
Yeah, well, I think well, did he just have his eyes closed or was he actually
No,
sleeping?
I saw a video of it.
He was sleeping?
I don't know if he was sleeping, but he was sitting there for multiple seconds, and it looked like he was nodding off.
Yeah, I figured Bernie would be nodding off with all those mittens and that coat on. He's all like in a cocoon, hibernating.
He's way too upset. He's way too bitter at everything.
he's just pissed.
Oh my!
But you see, he's making a bunch of money off of these memes. He like started. I'll give him that. Like he took all the meme stuff. He's like making a bunch of merch with it.
I don't know.
Sweaters.
Charity.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard he gave a bunch away. I don't know if that's
Well, that's
true.
what he's doing.
but
He started the whole merch line, and it's all going to charities and different things. So
the thing I
Food
saw,
banks and stuff.
yeah,
the thing I saw was like capitalism at its finest. They were laughing because he made his money, and then he's able to do whatever the hell he wants with his money, which is give it away instead of taking everybody else's money and distributing
Yeah.
it.
But that picture was just Bernie. Like that's exactly
Oh,
what
yeah.
I saw.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. Just blowing up everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the best one. It's like this could have been an email. Like,
I did see that
that
one.
had to be the best one because it could have been. It was funny.
So, dude, I'm gonna get right into it here.
Oh, should I try some?
Yeah, you better just fire away, bro.
Should I have
You
some?
better
Jerry
get on the
first.
same level here. Is that so? Is it the assistant health secretary? Is that?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm going right there.
Oh, he's going right there.
Right there.
To it.
Is that where we're going? And I'm not going there on the whole like transgender thing. That's not what I'm saying. But
The fact that how unhealthy she looks.
that is what I'm saying. And I saw a picture that was, and I don't know if it's her family. I didn't do any research, but people were like, "This is her family," yada yada yada. And I get that across the board. Like you look at respiratory. You like that?
Yeah, that's sweetness to it. That's nice.
Respiratory therapists, and you see them smoking. You see, you see healthcare, and they're some of the unhealthiest. But I think when you're at that level and you have that amount of influence, it's like, at least try. Like maybe just try a little bit.
Yeah, like get out of like brush your hair at least maybe.
Just do something so you don't look like someone took a giant shit on you.
Well, I mean, to me, I think it all, and as much as we say we don't want to talk about politics, we always end up talking about it in a sense.
In a roundabout way, but
way.
I mean, this is
Well, I think it goes in hand with the whole GameStop and Robin Hood thing, everything that happened this week. It's if people really look at our government and politics and finance and all the things that are governing the United States and go on at this point around the world. If people really think it's about, health and wellness and, our secretary of this and, we're going to do all these good things and we're going to create jobs and they're going to be green and all. If people really believe all the words that are coming out of those people's mouths verbatim, like, and really take them at face value, your problem is not that the fact that this, health secretary or whatever is unhealthy. It's that you have no idea what's really going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's been pretty obvious, and through all administrations. Like, it's government. Like,
Sure.
if you said, talk about corrupt government, well, that's an oxymoron.
Just say government.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, if you don't realize that all governments are corrupt at this point, it's kind of, it's an oxymoron, because that's just what they did. It's all power and money. That's all people care about. Really boils down to everything.
Yeah, and I get it, man. It goes back to that personal accountability and responsibility with the health. Like, if you're going to change, you're going to change. But you still got, kids or people that haven't made certain decisions that are still impressionable that, might look at those things and be like,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Well, that's when it goes back to those things, this making impressions on the youth and trying to do things for people and trying to, make a good impression or lead people in the right direction. That was never the intention. They just use those words to pretend like that's their intention.
just hollow
No,
language.
completely hollow. I mean, I don't know how anybody could say otherwise for
Yeah.
the most part. I think there are some politicians out there that are trying, but when you look at when you realize how many like politicians are in our government, just our government in a sense, and how many of those are career politicians, like the numbers are
Yeah.
just.
Was that Ted Cruz that reintroduced the term limit?
I think it was him or somebody else, which Ted Cruz hasn't made a great name for himself either, the way he's acted sometimes. But,
Yeah.
but once again, like even the good things that they do get covered up by the 90% of bullshit that they do. Like, I don't know if you ever, was it the most recent Tulsi Gabbard and Rogan interview. Did you listen to that?
I did.
And just to hear her, someone that's a Democrat, as soon as she starts saying things that are, opposite of what somebody thinks or runs for the presidency, or the one thing that killed me was he said that she was in, they were doing their government thing. They're doing their Congress thing one time. I don't know. They're in so many meetings, whatever. But like, they said there was a gym underneath the Capitol building. And so, a lot of people go there and work out, whatever. And obviously she's, pretty beastly. So she's actually in there like doing workouts or whatever. And I think, it was a yoga class. She
Yeah.
saw somebody from the
Yeah,
Republican
yoga
side
class.
in a yoga class. And she like said like, "Hey, saw you in that yoga class. Awesome." And they high-fived in the hallway. And then she hears another Democratic representative like whisper to her secretaries or whatever. And basically was like, "Oh, I can't believe she would even like basically like talk to them." And it was like, whoa.
And that's that shit.
Yeah, and those are the people that are actually
country.
right running the country, and it's all high school.
The emphasis on part of that last word we said. Country.
Oh, but
You think that Democrat's name was Karen? Poor Karens.
Poor Karens.
yeah,
Poor Karens. What's I think we said this one time, but what's the male equivalent to the
I think they
Chad?
call it Chad.
Chad,
Yeah,
that's right.
sorry, Chad.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Chad.
Chad. Yeah, we have a Chad that listens to this podcast religiously too. Sorry, Chad.
I kind of doubt we have any Karens that listen to this podcast.
Oh, I don't know. No, probably not.
I heard CJ's episode did good.
Yeah, I haven't checked the recent numbers on it, but I mean, it was a phenomenal story.
Yeah, I was very excited to listen to it.
Yeah, the only thing I was bummed about it was that he had to go so fast.
Yeah, we'll get him back, man. Get his book
Yeah.
out and stuff, and we'll have to read that and kind of talk about it. And Gary was saying how he's like, man, I've heard that story a ton of times. He goes, but every single time I hear it, it's so cool to hear, and I think of different questions to ask him.
Right.
So
Oh, it was just so much, and like I had so many questions I wanted to ask him, but he was just. Well, sometimes I was just dumbfounded. Like I was just, I don't even know. Like it was.
The documentary was really cool that you found.
Yeah, I'm gonna tilt that up a little bit too. Yeah, and so anybody who hasn't listened to the last episode with CJ and Gary, just a phenomenal story about a army vet that was injured in Iraq, and the he was part of a documentary by it was Epics. There was a lot. It's called Alive. And did you watch?
I didn't get a chance to watch
You have to
it yet.
watch it.
I
Man.
will.
It's
I
a
will watch it.
phenomenal. It's just short. It's like an hour and a half. I think it was like an hour and a half, something like that. But it shortly tells CJ's story, and then there's probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 other veterans that were injured in
Okay.
combat, and whew, it was heavy. Like
It
just
was
listening to
heavy.
these stories, like not to obviously not really a spoiler, but one guy, he was an EOD specialist, ended up bomb going off. I think he lost both of his legs at the knees, I think. And was it? No, one leg. I think he completely lost like one leg, something like that. I think he
It was
lost
the
one leg at
lady.
hip.
It was the lady who had lost both.
Yeah, and then there was a lady on there. There was multiple. There was the one lady who she lost both legs at the knees. Well, she didn't lose them at first. Something happened. I can't remember what happened to her exactly. But regardless, she lost both legs at the knees, and I think she got maybe hit with like a mortar or something like that. And she had severe concussions and brain fractures or brain bleeding and skull fractures, and she lost years off her memory. I don't think she was a collegiate athlete and obviously a high school athlete, and she lost everything back into high school. So she was like an all-star collegiate athlete and doesn't remember any of it. So everything from like high school, and she was late, she's probably 30s now.
Yeah.
She's probably early 30s, but to lose, it was probably, they didn't say, but I would say it was at least 10 years of her memory just was gone.
Remember her college coach saw her in the store.
Yeah, and she had
said
no idea.
hi.
Yeah,
she just walked right past him.
No idea
She
who
had
he was.
no idea and he didn't realize at the time how severe things were.
Yeah.
He questioned like, did I do something? Why?
Yeah.
She didn't know who he was at all.
Yeah. And then there was another lady who lost, and she didn't even lose her leg. She decided to take them. That's another messed up part with the VA and everything else. Like if your limbs are alive, they won't take them, even if they don't necessarily work. So like they wouldn't pay to get her legs cut off because quote unquote they were alive. So she had to be like around, or no, that was
the same lady.
Same lady. She would walk around and her legs would just stop working, and she would fall and get another concussion. I think her brother said she wore a helmet for like 5 years because they were so afraid of.
They just wanted her to be in a wheelchair
Right.
instead of taking them and
Yeah,
giving
she was
her
like,
the
I can't
chance.
do this. But her story, and then there was another lady who lost, I think, a leg from the hip down, and then the one guy, he was an older guy. He'd been in, I think, the Army for years and years, and he ended up, involved in an explosion and lost his eyesight. He had some eyesight until they had to go in and do surgery and pull fragments out of his skull, and they severed his optic nerve when they did it. And then he said, he mentioned that, he had thought about suicide multiple times, and the only thing keeping him alive was his kids. And I'm just spoiler alert right now, but he has a 5-year-old that I think was born while he was overseas, has never seen her. Has a 5-year-old daughter that he's never seen because he has zero eyesight. Like, just considering that being, 40 something, he was probably like in his 40s, in the military his whole life, he had like 1 or 2 kids, and then had a new one on the way, and then next thing you know, gone. Has never even seen his kid. Like, just wild. But full circle, CJ was part of that. Pretty phenomenal story too. And so it's a really good documentary to watch. I put it on the Instagram. It's basically like, I feel like everybody should have to like watch this.
Yeah.
I want to meet CJ's wife. That's what I told
she's
you.
got to be.
She sounds like a
She's got to be a
beast.
firecracker.
You know,
Slapping the shit out of them.
Well, it was so funny
Yeah.
when he was telling that story. He was like, "Man," he's like, "That's when I realized like I had like snot coming out of my face. I'm rolling my wheelchair back to my room." And he was like, "And it's just that was a moment like." He's like, God just hit me and just woke me up. And then I realized it was my wife just smacked me on the back of the head. And I'm like, I kind of like laughed. He was like, no, for real, she smacked the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I was like, that's brutal.
Five fingers say to the face.
Yeah.
well, just to know when, like, that's what your person needs, right? Like,
Yeah.
the time frame, because he was very,
Yeah, and I
he
think he'd gone
skipped
through
a
bunch
lot of it.
surgeries,
Yeah.
up until that point.
At
to
what
get to the
point
of
are you like
walking.
the shoulder to cry on? And then what point are you like, you need to suck it the fuck up?
Yeah.
Like, you need to be, what did she say? You need to be the man you were
Yeah.
before.
And it sounds like
And-
that's exactly what it needed.
Exactly. So she like knew, like, she just sounds,
Sounds like she's would have to be a hell of a teacher too. Like if she was able to kind of recognize that that's exactly what he needed. Man, I bet. I know you said when she was teaching, she was just amazing. Like people
Yeah.
would request her.
that's
Yeah,
that's
massive.
a ton.
yeah.
And that's like that was one of the biggest things I took out of it too. And
We should get her on with CJ.
And I would love to,
yeah, have him.
to
But when his
meet
book
her.
comes out, have them both come on. That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
That'd
Let's
be really.
do it.
That'd be
Yeah.
We'll have to talk to him.
Because both the documentary and the podcast, there's so many gaps because you only have so much
yeah.
time that
Yeah, I
would
mean,
just
we
be
spent
so
an hour and a half
interesting.
talking to him. Not all of it about the incident, but I mean, he talked about the incident on the documentary for what, maybe 15 minutes
I
total.
got you.
So
It just, what I really liked about the documentary is that it really emphasized the things that they found that made, that helped progress their healing process
right.
or
Have to
whatever.
keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and like he said he feels like he was here to be a teacher, but he may not have ever found that. If it weren't for what happened. And same for the guy who's now doing the triathlons. Like he's like, I fucking hated running. But
Until
now
I realized that I may never do it. Now
Yeah.
I do it just because I can.
yeah, I do it because I can.
Like, wow.
That's just so cool.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it. And then, it really is, if it doesn't humble you and, give you at least a slightest semblance of appreciation for the life you have, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? That, and when you look at below the layers, I'm self-admittedly a very cynical person. You look at just how screwed up some of our cultural views and like the VA and some of the things they do, that wasn't like the idea of the documentary, but you see those things like that lady that her legs basically didn't work, but she couldn't do anything on her own because she couldn't get, it's wild to think about. And I think her brother was talking about, like, it's wild to think about, like, they spent like 5 years trying to get her legs cut off so she could get prosthetics and actually be mobile. And it's like,
Where did she go to have it done? She paid for it out of pocket. Did she go to like Mexico or somewhere?
no, I think she did it here.
No, her mom said she went out of the country for it. And then the VA would pay for anything afterwards. But for the actual procedure,
maybe.
she went out of the country
It's possible.
and she had to pay for it on her own. But then the VA covered everything after that, the prosthetics and
Makes
everything.
so much sense.
Yeah. And especially like how much money did they spend on her?
Yeah.
Like when she could have just done it. Like, so it just, it really makes you think about all like the law, the quote unquote laws and guidelines for things are just so nonsensical. But that was a very lower level thing that came up to me. It just kind of hit me like what full circle those people that go over there and potentially lose so much of their lives for us, and then they come back and we're like, yeah, thanks. Like what, twice a year it's like, oh, Veterans Day, thanks everybody. And then
Yeah, and even outside of like the visible scars, man,
oh yeah,
the mental health aspects that are the depression, the anxiety, and then the substance abuse and
yeah, absolutely. And CJ talked about that too, where he's like, man, it sounded like he had a pretty dark period for a while, and he had to go seek help. And, I think it kind of goes back to the conversation. I don't know if we've ever had it on the podcast. Yeah, I feel like we talked about it with somebody. maybe not, but just the kind of like the stigma that's around a lot of, one, around like men in particular. But the same thing with the military, and CJ kind of mentioned it, was like, yeah, we're these military personnel, this, that, whatever. He's like, we're not like, we come back, we're not just, you know, these strong marine or, military personnel that don't have any problems. Like, we got problems,
Yeah.
And there's that stigma around talking about it or discussing it or, whatever it is. It's, everyone's got problems, but we got to be able to figure out how to, talk about them and fix them. And maybe you never fix them, but it's, the strongest people that typically are strong for a reason, and they have a lot of things going on, that got them there, but what are they still dealing with?
Yeah. Dude, another good story. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Travis Mills. Check out there's a Jocko episode with him and Travis Mills, and he lost his legs, I think, from the shoulder down and from the elbow. And dude, it's a wild story, man. It's a wild story. Yeah.
Jocko has some real intense
I know.
conversations.
I know. And this particular guy, his I think I don't know if it was his wife at the time, but she was kind of involved in his recovery and kind of doing the same thing that CJ's wife did, that hard love, if you will, to get him back. But they ended up starting a foundation. I think they're in like somewhere in the like New England area. But just an awesome story. Travis Mills, definitely need to check that one out. Very cool story. And he's hilarious too. Like, I don't know if he was in the Marines or the Army, but he was that guy that would like cue up Britney Spears and just start grinding on everybody.
Dude, some of those guys would crack me up. I can't remember. I listened to one with Jocko, and I want to say, I can't remember if he was a SEAL or a Ranger. I think he was a SEAL, because I think him and Jocko knew each other really well.
Okay.
Like, he was kind of the next generation after Jocko, I guess, moving through all that, but he had trained him a little bit. He said, like, one of the things that he wrote a book, and one of the things that he was kind of got, I don't want to use the word famous. One of his biggest story that I think had his exit out of the military was they were doing some operation, and he was the first one through the door, and they knew like this was a high, like, obviously they were on an operation that was required for the SEALs, so it was crazy shit.
Yeah.
And so I think right when he walked in the door, he didn't even realize what had happened, but he was on the ground and just heard shots. He got shot like, I want to say it was 30 to 40 plus times.
Oh, dude, I think I listened to that because they thought he was dead.
Yeah,
the insurgents thought he was dead, and they were firing over top of him, and then he ended up killing them.
Yeah, I think he ended up taking a couple of them down, like, as he's laying on the ground, because like they were like, oh, they thought, yeah, and he ended up getting shot. It was like 30 or 40 times, but just like his story, and then I think he talked about too just some of that mental aspect. You come back and he struggled with it for a long time. But like, that was the guy. He talked about his he had a really abusive childhood.
Okay.
And that's kind of why he went into the military, to get away from all of that. And then, like, some of these guys, I guess it really hit me that so many people have different outlooks on life. And particularly like these days when you see some of these people, the Twitter warriors and everything, like saying all these crappy things to people, and just because they don't think the same way.
Yeah.
When you hear somebody like that, and like, I think I have a pretty fucked up sense of humor. You've called me irreverent on multiple occasions. I agree with you. I am. Like, I'll make, like, if allowed, I will make some pretty shitty jokes. And I don't, she laughs because she knows. Like, and I don't mean it to be malicious, but I think, humor is something that I found, like, if you can't make fun of it, then what's the point? Like, you should be able to, yeah, you're fucked. Like, you should be able to make fun of anything. And obviously, like, I'm not going to I'm not going to necessarily make fun of things or really dig into things that I don't really know a whole lot about or whatever. But like that guy, he was like making jokes and things about like his dad just literally just beating the fuck out of them, like on a daily basis. And here he shot how many times? He's just like, whatever, like party on. Like you think about people like that and you're like, man, like I had a pretty good life.
Yeah.
You know, like, and people don't realize all the different things that happened, but that was a phenomenal episode too. Just hearing, you know, some of those people that there's some special characters out there. We're not all the same.
Yeah. It is very interesting to hear about people's perspectives, and how, you know, what's relative to them in their life. And,
Yeah.
you know, I had a patient, and she lived in Belize for like 8 years. And I love talking to people that have lived in different countries before, just because I like to hear what they have to say about what was that like versus living here. And almost across the board, man, anybody who's lived in a different country seems to be more accepting of human beings. And they just
Even the shitty ones.
yeah.
Because maybe their sliding scale of shitty and good is a lot bigger than ours. Maybe that's what it is.
That's a possibility. But yeah, even just the way that they're able to go, man, we're so blessed. Like the power doesn't shut off at a certain time here. Like,
Right.
you know, I have
water all the
Yeah,
time.
we have water all the time. We have this thing
You
called
talk
a
about Glenn,
toilet.
going
yeah,
back to the Glenn episode.
that you actually sit on, and you're not shitting in a hole. Like,
Right.
yeah, or you can worship freely without being persecuted, or you don't have to worry about you know, a rocket blowing up the building that you're in, or you know, a stray bullet, or things like that. And so it's very weird, man, to just kind of like see people in the United States and how I know that you forget things very easily. Like, everyone forgets things very easily, and you almost need that daily constant reminder. But it is interesting, like you said, to see how people have a different perspective, and they're able to kind of make things relative to them and put things into perspective, and still go, man, that was shitty that happened in my life, but there's always something shittier, or I'm still blessed in this aspect. And, you know, even hearing CJ saying, man, it could have been a lot worse. Or, you know, he was talking about after he went through surgery, and he was asking his wife about the Cavs in the playoff game. That was hilarious. Like,
he was all doped up at the time, you know.
Well, he woke up and was surprised to see his legs. Like he thought that they were going to be. So for him, it's very close to being a lot worse than what it was.
Absolutely. But then even then, you think about months later, after all those surgeries, you know, you'd think you know, like we said, there's a lot of missing in his timelines. He wakes up, glad he has his legs, but then months later, he's breaking down. He can't walk on them. And, you know, we're so soon to forget, you know, because I think our lives, you know, tend to move so fast. We're so soon to forget those, you know, all the stuff in between, everything that got people there and everything that like got you in that position. It's, it reminds me of a pilot I was flying with once. He was a Marine. And so obviously everyone, you know, says Marines are a little different. And he was fine, just real good dude. But he's like, yeah. And
24, 48, 128. How many crayons did he have on him, bro?
No, he was dealing with a mostly full pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he had a fairly decent experience. He had a couple stories that were like, oh, that sucks, but nothing like, oh, I got blown up. You know, like, but he said that like obviously the mentality that, you know, those group of people have is a little different because you're, you know, deployed for months and months at a time in war zones, just that, whatever. Like, you have to have a little different mentality. Mm-hmm. And he says when he got back, he wasn't a pilot then. He worked on a helicopter, but he wasn't a pilot. So he went to pilot school, and, you know, they're able to use their GI Bill in a sense to kind of help with school. And there's a place out in Utah that's kind of like the central hub for most of those guys. And, but they had to have like at least 20% of the school had to be non-military.
Okay.
So whatever, for all these things to work. And obviously Utah, it's a little different than most places.
Heavy Mormon population.
Yeah, heavy Mormon population. So he said that one time they were all in there before class, and you could tell. It was a Mormon family that came in. The kid was like 17, 18, looking into getting, you know, pilot school. And the guy's like taking him around the hangars and the and like the, you know, the lounge areas and stuff. And they walk in the lounge area, and the guy's like, "Yeah, this is where the pilots hang out, or where we do before the school starts, where instructors and everybody will hang out." And they said like one of their military buddies like literally kicks the door open. He's like, "Whoa, motherfuckers!" and like starts screaming and shit, and like walks out or something. And he's like, so. And there's like his whole family's there. Like, they're like, well, a lot of our students are ex-military, so it's a little bit of a different crowd sometimes. Like he's like, yeah, we never saw that kid again. Yeah. But then like he said, like months later, after like he was with his girlfriend in a grocery store, and he's standing in line. I think I've told you this story before. He's standing in line at a grocery store, and this is two stories. Hilarious. He's going to the grocery store at one point, and this old lady was just like, and he was like, yo, bitch, move out of the way. I got shit to do. And his girlfriend's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he was like, what? I gotta go somewhere. This bitch is in my way. Like, this is obviously right after he got back. And then similar story, he was standing somewhere in line, and this dude like got real close to him in line. Like super, and he spun around. He was like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Do I owe you fucking money or something?" And the dude was like, "What?" He's like, "Back the fuck up, man." His coworker's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" He's like, "I don't like people getting all up on me." Like, so it's like people are a little different, to understand their background and stuff. But it's like, man, I'm gonna have to use that one. Someone gets to, because there's some people out there.
No, I know they're breathing down your neck.
Yeah, they get way too close. Did I fucking owe you money or something?
That's hilarious. Have you ever said that to anybody?
No, but I'd like to.
I didn't mean just like that, but no, I've actually said that to someone, because I was like, man, I'm not trying to be mean, but you are exceptionally close to me. Like, can you take a couple steps back so we each have our own space?
Yeah.
And they were like,
I need a 3-foot bubble here.
If we could just keep that 6-foot rule after this pandemic is over,
I'm good with that.
That'd be great.
you ever have that person that they talk to you, and dude, they're just so close to you. You're like, you keep trying to scoot back.
Yeah.
And they keep coming closer, and you're like,
bro, you're going to have to stand
stop,
back.
Stop, hit the pause button.
Some people like to get close.
I can tell what you ate for breakfast the other day. Like
The other day.
I had a supervisor like that at one of my jobs, where he would drink coffee, black coffee, all day long. And it wasn't good black coffee. And it was like, it was one of those dudes, I think he just drank coffee. Around the bat and smoked. That's all he did. It was just smoke and drink coffee. And it was like, you didn't have to be like, it was, you had to be at least 6 foot away to not smell his breath. And I was like, bro, you're a nice guy, but you need to back the fuck up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's different people out there.
For sure. For sure.
All that to say that. Yeah. But it was just funny listening to him like telling about his stories, like where he just didn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't give a shit about you softies. Like, I spent, I think he spent like 6 or 8 years in the Marines. He's like, what? So I'm a little abrasive. What are you going to do about it? Like, whatever. Yes, it took a little while for his girlfriend to get used to it, because she was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, what do you mean? What the fuck's wrong with you? She's like, why can't you just be nicer? He said one time he was at a, obviously flew for him for quite a while. He was at one of his buddies. I can't remember if it was like a wedding or an
baby shower.
It was a baby shower. That's what it was.
I don't remember the rest of the story, but I remember
it
that.
was at a baby shower. One of his military buddies, and obviously they had a lot of military buddies there, and they all went down. And he's like, we started drinking whiskey around like 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
He's like, by 8 o'clock, you can see like the rest of the people were like distancing themselves. They're like, all right, like we gotta go, and they're all like, what the fuck? Isn't this a party or what?
Yeah.
Like, I can only imagine you get a group of guys like that together that have seen shit.
Oh yeah.
The things that would come out of their mouths.
Is that dude still around here?
No, he lives in what was it? I think he's in Virginia. I think he lives in.
Was he like? Did he have a bald head, and was he pretty muscular?
No, it was a different guy. He was actually a smaller dude.
Okay.
I want to say he might have been. I mean, he couldn't have been more than 30.
Yeah.
Because I think he went to he was in the Marines, and then as soon as he got out, went to helicopter school, and he's been flying since. Man, I'm gonna have to do that this summer. We're gonna get some pilots in here.
Yeah.
Can you get Holly?
Yeah, maybe if I fly with her. Even if I don't, I'll be like when I know when she's in town.
Yeah. She was really cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. The one pilot that I flew with, she just loves flying helicopters, but she looks almost identical to Aaron Stoll. I've never said it out loud. Well, except to you.
Yeah.
And I warned Caleb.
Her doppelganger.
Yeah, I was like, look, hey,
Who did not warn his wife.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Fred talk to Holly, the pilot.
Yeah.
Super nice. And Smithville Airport is right here. Yep. So one day before school, I took Kyrie. She got to like get in the helicopter, and Holly like showed us all around. It was really, really cool. I take a picture because it's with pilot Holly, and it was just really cool for me to tell Kyrie like, you don't have to grow up and be a nurse or a teacher. Like, look at this badass. Like, she was a biologist and then decided like, oh, I want to fly helicopters. Super, super cool. And Aaron saw this picture of Holly, who is attractive. She's a little bit older than Aaron, though.
Yeah, she looks like her older. Like she looks like they were like identical twins, but like one like was like 5 years older.
But she looks.
One went to space for 10 years and didn't age.
But she looked really good, and Fred was like, so Aaron saw Holly's picture, and I was like, oh, she's pretty. He's like, I know.
They look exactly like I literally had to tell Caleb like before. I was like, look, I was like, so the pilot looks just like your wife. So just, don't get freaked out. Like the very first time you met her, she like walks away and he was like, dude.
They even spoke the same.
Yeah, they even had like
weird.
That's what I told him. I said, I don't know one of her parents. I said, went out to Colorado at one point about 5 years before they had Aaron. And, she's got a half sister out there for sure. That's how close it is.
Can Holly play guitar and sing?
No, I don't think, not so much that, but she can fly a helicopter.
Yeah.
Aaron's blonde now, so they wouldn't look anything alike.
Oh,
but then it was.
Yeah, it was weird because she's from Colorado. Yeah. And Aaron's from around here. It was just weird. I remember the first time I met her, I'm like, whoa. Like, you got a half sister here. I never said anything to her.
Yeah.
Do you believe that everybody kind of has like
a doppelganger?
Yeah. I mean, they say that's true.
I mean, you figure what 7.5 billion people on the planet. Like sometimes those genes are gonna get, and we're all like 99% basically genetically the same
from Genghis Khan.
Right. From Genghis Khan. Yeah. I don't know, man. I've there's been people that said they've seen my doppelganger before, but. Yeah, it's super weird. But that'd be we should get some.
She was really cool.
We get some pilots in because they all have different crazy stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because wasn't she a biologist and she was in like Argentina or something? Yeah, and they had to take a helicopter ride.
And she was like, I want to do this.
Go somewhere. Yeah, she got in it and was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
After how long does it take her to become a biologist? 8 years.
Yeah, like, I think she had her master's.
Did she have a doctorate?
No,
she had a master's.
I think. If I'm
That's so cool. It was just really cool to be able to show Kai like.
Yeah.
You can go do whatever you want to do. It's so cool.
Dude, I feel like you'd be a pretty good pilot. I'm surprised you never considered getting your pilot's license.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I know it's
a lot of money, especially because all the helicopter pilots I've talked to, it's like it's a lot of grind.
I meant like fixed wing or something like that.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I could be a pilot. I think I could fly. Honestly, I think you give me like a weekend with a pilot, I could do it. It's the landing.
I was gonna say, can you land it though?
It's the landing. It's the difficult part.
A weekend. He wants a weekend.
I think I could do it.
Yeah, I do too.
I think if I had a good pilot and a good instructor, you give me like a two 10 to 12 hour day crash course. I think I could fly a plane and land it on my own, like a Cessna or something like that. I think I could do it.
I'm out.
I think I could do it. I've seen people do it that shouldn't be. You know what I will say about pilots? Most of them can't drive a car with a goddamn.
Really?
Oh, they're scary as hell. I remember one time I flew with a pilot. I think he was an Army pilot or something like that, but they had to stop the aircraft for maintenance or whatever it was. But we couldn't go back to where we had taken off from. So we had to get the airport car and drive us back to the other airport. Some of the scariest times I've ever had in my life in a car with pilots, because they're just like, wah, wah, like whipping through traffic. I'm like, bro, there's laws here. Like this isn't the sky. This isn't the sky. You just can't do whatever the hell you want. Yeah, it's wild.
Calm down, Maverick. We're on the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But some of them are fun. They all have. I would say they all helicopter pilots for sure. They all have like these fantastic, not fantastic, but they all have interesting stories because they're always moving around. They always do different things. And
Yeah, I could get Jet in here for sure.
oh yeah,
So, I mean, dude, he said he sees crazy shit flying like through the mountains and stuff. And he's like, dude, I'll see like packs of coyotes. And like, he's like, dude, I've landed, people come out and they'll shoot at me with their guns when I'm on their property.
we've
Like,
had that happen.
Does he do
it's
the
nuts.
saws?
Yeah, he does the
Okay.
aerial,
The aerial saw.
trimming.
So
Yeah.
that's
Those guys are
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like he has to have a wheelbarrow in the back of his truck to carry around his balls all the time.
Yeah, you do. And those guys are just so nonchalant about it.
Yeah, and I mean, supposedly, dude, he's like one of the best. He's been doing it for like a long time.
Yeah, and those pilots too, because I work with a lot of those guys too. They are when you find a really, really, really good pilot that can have a 80-foot saw swing, or not saw's not 80-foot.
The boom with the
80-foot
saws, yeah.
boom with 15 feet of saw hanging off the bottom of it. You can find out real fast who is an extremely good pilot. Those guys are crazy.
Well, he can't be very old.
Oh,
Early 30s, mid 30s.
Yeah, mid 30s. I think he's like 37, maybe 36 or 37. So
You gotta be a little crazy.
yeah,
I mean, really, because those things, like, I remember it's I think the guy who invented the saw, the aerial saw. And anyone who's never seen this, you have to go look it up. It's pretty sweet. It's basically a boom that hangs off the bottom of a helicopter with like 10 to 15 giant table saw blades that they trim trees and do stuff with them. They actually have a horizontal saw now too. They use the top trees out.
gotcha.
But the very first guy that invented that died doing it because his saw got stuck in a tree.
And he didn't have a quick
He didn't
release.
have a disconnect for it.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so he was there trying to get it out of the tree until he ran out of gas and crashed.
I've got one. We have one of the saw blades at the shop that's stuck in a piece of wood, like a
Yeah.
piece of Osage, I think.
Yeah. Then they realized, hey, we need a quick disconnect for these things.
Yeah, no shit, dude.
So you can just drop the whole boom and
Yeah. So
everything.
if it gets stuck enough, they'll sit there. They'll try to get it out of the tree as long as they can until they're usually like, and even they have a guy on the ground that keeps track of a lot of their helicopter stats, like how much fuel they have, like time wise and whatnot. So because those guys, they'll hang out the side of the helicopter and trim along like power lines and gas lines and different stuff. But they're literally hanging out the side of a helicopter with this giant saw blade swinging back and forth next to, dangerous apparatuses. And so they have a guy tell them in their ear, like, hey, you got half an hour left. Hey, you got 15 minutes left. Hey, you got 10 minutes left. You need to come back and fuel up because they won't, they're so zoned in on what they're doing. But yeah, it's
I think a Bell's 500, isn't that what they fly?
typically, like an MD 500
Yeah.
is a lot of times what they use because it's light and
That can carry
powerful.
capacity, yeah.
But those things have been around since like the 80s or something
Yeah.
like that. They were created in like the 80s and that's still what they're flying. But because they have the best cockpit for crashes, the way it's constructed. Well, I think they started off like as a military something or other, but
That's what we need to get. I know he wants you to compete to get on here, but we got to get Dusty on. He's got some.
Yeah.
He's got some crazy
yeah,
stories.
I think we found a loophole now.
I
Yeah.
was already on it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because he's starting that rec club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now he's got a reason.
Yeah. No, that's
He's like,
true.
oh, advertise for you, bro.
I'll have to tell him if he wants any more mobility videos
Yeah,
to
you
put on
gotta
his
come on.
website. You have to come on.
Come on,
You
yeah.
have to
No,
test
he's
us
got a
out.
great story about like having to basically kind of emergency / crash land at a fighter jet runway in France.
Oof.
Yeah.
never heard that.
I've never heard that one either.
it's
I
all-
can't imagine, especially those fighter jet runways aren't that long
No,
compared to
no.
a C-130.
Yeah, I was going to say he was on a big bird. So, and he said something along the lines of the pilots he was with. He was like, "Hey, how bad is this?" And he's like, "Not that bad, right? You've been through worse." And the guy was like, "Oh, it's up there." He goes, "If it was 100%," he goes, "We're at about 80% right now." And he was like, "Oh shit, this isn't good." So, but yeah, we definitely need to hear that story from him. It's a good one.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of stories he doesn't
No,
tell,
dude, he's got some.
I agree.
which is okay. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
He's
not
got
gonna.
some great stories.
But he's a great storyteller too.
Yeah. we got to get him on for sure. So
I've been trying. I told him the last time because when I went rucking with him that one day, and they were talking about starting that thing. I was like, "Well," I said, "I know a good place you can get the word out."
yeah, yeah.
He's like, "Yeah." I'm glad I didn't do that either. Have you talked to those guys that went out, down to Columbus and did that tough ruck?
Just briefly, Corey said they did like just so many reps. They only went like 14 miles, but they did like a bajillion reps of.
Yeah, he said at one point they were like dragging like what was it 100 or 150-pound sandbag for like. He said they did it for like 2 hours. They were just dragging on their.
But he had to
hands and-
actually drag the biggest guy in their group, and he was what, like, I don't know. He was big. Dustin told him he needed to go on a diet.
Yeah, I don't know, but they had to like basically drag all this weight, and they were like army crawling, and they did it for like 2 hours straight, just
Ooh.
dragging
On the
weight.
frozen
Yeah,
ground.
and it was like 12 degrees that night.
That sounds.
Yeah,
It sounded terrible.
I was
Doesn't
like-
sound like a good time.
yeah. I was like, I'm glad I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I read the article he wrote on it to be able to publish
Oh
it.
yeah.
It sounded disgusting.
Well, that's what he texted me the next morning. He
Awful.
was like, I'd like to say that we destroyed it. He's like, but just trying to stay alive.
Yeah,
was like,
I
yeah.
was surprised though, man. They said like 35 people did it, and only 2 people dropped out.
He said the first one walked out before they even started hiking. Like they just started doing their first
I know.
hundreds
I'm out.
reps of PT. And Dustin said he just saw someone walking in the distance and then realized, oh, he tapped out already. Like he was
He rang the
done.
bell.
Yeah, you know, if you're
He's like,
going to
"I'm
do
out."
it, you might as well do it. That's what I told him. Because I just talked to him the other day, and he said it was really rough. And I was like, he was talking about Corey. He was like, dude, he's like his mental, you know, he's like, I'll give him that. He did it. He's like, he's paying for it, but he did it. And I was
Yeah.
like, see, that's my thing. It's like, once I start something, I'm not gonna stop. I said, but I realized that I was gonna regret that, so I just didn't do it.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, man. He definitely has some mental fortitude. Like
yeah.
I've done some. Well, I did the Murph the one day, and I set like a very, very tough pace, and we were doing the body squats, and dude, he literally threw up like 3 times.
I believe that.
But he came back to it, and I was like screaming at him, dude. I'm like, get the fuck up! Just screaming at him, and he kept going. But dude, he puked, hopped back in, puked, hopped back in.
Yeah, so that's like if you asked me to do a Murph, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm good. Because I know that's going to entail, and I'll finish it, but I'll feel like this is stupid.
Yeah, I love that shit, dude. Like for me, it's if my mind's committed to already doing it, it's done. It's done in my mind. My body that's it. It's just finishing it, and yeah, I love that. You go to a special place.
I've only done the Murph twice.
I've never done one.
I used to do it monthly. So and the last one I did was I called it the Super Murph. So that was the one where I had the 60-pound pack, and I did 2.5 miles.
Gross.
Did all the PT with the 60-pound pack on, and then rucked back 2.5 miles.
That's disgusting.
It took like 3 hours. It was a while.
I've never done a Murph.
We
I've
had the
done
guys
2.
come to Ashland and they would do with their full firefighter gear on.
Yeah, those guys are badass.
Oh, they were super badass.
Or like the firefighters on 9/11 when they'll do the steps.
the stairs.
It's like, man.
Dude, we're doing the Murph. Now
Puts
that
it in
you said you haven't
perspective.
done the Murph.
I've done, I think the closest I've gotten was when I was prepping for that CrossFit competition. And we did 2 workouts in one day. Like, it wasn't just one day. It was like we did 2 workouts back to back. And I think halfway through the second one, I was like, I had to go outside and puke. I was like, all right, let's finish this.
It's a completely different kind of training that you were used to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still not used to it. I just don't do that
I'm
stuff.
gonna get you to do the Murph with me. We're gonna do
I still
it.
like the whole running thing because isn't it like
No,
3
I know.
miles or something like
it's,
that?
It's 1 mile to start off with, and then if you do it correctly, you're supposed to do them kind of unbroken. So you do the 100 pull-ups, the 200 push-ups, and the 300 body squats, and then you go run another mile. And so the
2
first
miles total.
Yeah, 2 miles.
Total.
So the first mile's not bad. The pull-ups aren't that bad. I mean, you can rip out 100 pull-ups. You just do 5 at a time, hop back in, or 7.
Yeah, but then
at a
you're
time or
fucked for
whatever.
the push-ups.
No,
At least I
so
am. My
the
lats are
pull-
on fire.
Yeah, I could see the push-ups. I think would be the easiest part for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I do push-ups all
honestly-
day long. But pull-ups suck.
Push-ups
Yeah,
were the
but-
hardest for me after doing the pull-ups. The squats
Honestly-
were like welcomed.
The squats, though, man, are deceivingly tough. Like
You do
depending
3
on
or
how
you-
quick you do them.
You 300?
300, but dude, then that last mile after the squats
Oh.
for like half a mile, your legs are like jello-y. So to actually like keep a good pace, it's difficult in that last mile.
Oh, yeah.
I had to eat so many snacks, so many snacks to
believe
carry me
that.
through. I didn't have my CGM.
Oh, yeah, you're just winging it.
It was rough. Yeah.
It's not the workout for
No.
you.
Yeah, but then you finish and then you see 3 guys wearing their full firefighter gear. All right, we all ran the last half mile or whatever was left after we were done. And then, it was crazy.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but yeah, yeah.
it was,
You don't know part of that. And the
if you have a
pull-ups was
reason to
probably
do it, though,
Yeah,
you know?
no, yeah, it's for sure. I'd like to just, I don't like cardio. It's painful.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. It sucks.
Well, for the longest time when I started doing more cardio in the gym, people come to me like, "Huh, you're doing cardio?" I'm like, "Yeah." Somebody says it's good for your heart or something. I don't know. Like, I guess I'm getting older. I guess I should, take care of all the things. I don't know.
Yeah, I once like 5 minutes in, dude, I'm fine. So I'm fine.
It's usually when I quit.
Then you get used to the pain. Like the back is sore, and you get used to it, and then it's just trying to keep that pace. So there's plenty of times I've talked to you, and I'm like getting after it on something.
Yeah, it's all
doing
gross.
cardio. You're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, 4.5 miles, bro. You're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Why not?"
Yeah. Well, for the longest time, my motto is I lift weights so I don't have to run away. But I mean, it's obviously a terrible motto, but it sounded good. He usually gets a smile at least, but
Yeah.
If you lift weights fast enough, that's your cardio.
yeah, but it's a different kind of cardio than from running
know.
or anything else. Obviously proved by when I tried to do CrossFit. It's brutal. There's just so many different compound things, and that one competition I did was not fair. It was all overhead.
Fair. He says it's not fair.
I mean,
You
that's
better
a
have
fair
some
judgment.
mobility, man. If there's that much overhead stuff.
Well, it wasn't bad. Like that wasn't because I practiced. We had to do. I don't remember all of it by any means, but it was like the very first workout was like, snatch squatches,
Snatches.
snatches,
Sat squatches.
Sand
squatches.
Sand squats, Julian. Sand squats.
Squat snatches.
Yeah, squat snatches, and then it was alternating, and then box jumps. Like no big deal.
Yeah.
But then for the rest of the workout, it was all pull-ups and like thrusters and jerks and like all overhead like squats and everything else. It was all the same movement for 3 different workouts, and it was like
You guys had to find your 1 rep max for a clean and jerk or something
after
for your last
after tandem. What was it?
wall balls.
After tandem wall balls and thrusters. So it was all the exact same movement, and then they wanted you to find your 1 rep max for jerks. And I was like, because that was like the one thing that I was super big and strong at the time. I was like, man, the jerks, that's where I'll like help the team
You're
out.
so fatigued at that point.
My legs didn't work.
I got you.
Dude,
my legs
Tony.
locked up.
I heard about this.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was
really
one of
bad.
it was one of those times where Corey and I stood there and I was like, do I cross the line and tell him to get the fuck up? Like,
Yeah.
do I hit him in the back of the head and tell him to get up? And he was like, there's no way.
Corey
I
was
wouldn't have been able
screaming at
to.
me, get the fuck up. I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't think you understand. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I would if I could, but my legs were so full
not
of blood.
working.
They
Yeah.
just did not work. Like, they did not work. And then when finally, like, it was after.
You got 135.
Yeah.
He got 135.
Yeah, we had a lot of time to try, and so we were on a team of 4. They all 3 did their things, and it took me it was probably close to 10 minutes for my legs to like function again. By the time I was able to stand up, and I was shooting for over 300 pounds jerk. Tried 225, couldn't get it, and I'm like, fuck. Like throw 135 on there, maybe. And I basically just pressed it.
Yeah.
Like that. You don't realize when you put your body through something like that. Eventually, your body.
Amber and
for the
Kelsey
time
probably
being.
got 180 each,
Oh yeah.
if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were powerhouses.
Yeah, and it was just even I think it was the workout before when there was like pull ups, like you could just see like when like they had pictures of it, and a bunch of people doing it, and my back was just like fire red because you see all that blood just flow into it.
Yeah.
It's like once.
Fucking Craig, man. He was like, Fred comes in here, takes his shirt off, looking like a Ferrari. I'm over here just like a Honda Civic. How much did you clean and jerk, Fred? Your Ferrari?
Yeah.
Your old Honda over here, it'll never let you down. And
It's a
I
whole
did
different
not
story.
hear the end of that for
Well, that's what like people
a
were like.
while.
I had a couple times people were like, "Oh, like how long you been doing CrossFit?" Because obviously I did not look like I was
Yeah.
like 240 and just I'm barely 6 foot if that, sitting at 240 and just jacked and shredded. And like, how long you been doing CrossFit? I'm like, oh,
7 weeks.
I was like, yeah, like a month and a half or so. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you doing the RX comp? And I was like, yeah, probably not a good idea, huh? I'm like, no. Like,
That's funny.
I think I surprised people until the last workout when I collapsed on the floor.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh yeah, that's right.
They're like, oh, that's why we make fun of bodybuilders.
Yeah, that's where all that
That's
muscle
why.
will get you. It's like, did you see the recent strongman competition?
No.
Dude, Eddie Hall, they were doing that. They had like this, what was it? It was like this giant log, but then they have it's like on a swivel.
Yeah.
And they have it's like a giant four-wheeler attached to it too.
Yeah. I
And they pick
I
it
saw
up
a
and
little
they-
bit of that.
And they like
Pick
walk
it
it.
up and
Yeah,
walk
they
it around.
walk it
Yeah.
around, see how many times you can walk it in a circle. And these dudes, like at the end of it, they're just like drop. I think it was Eddie Hall, like drop it and just passed out.
Yeah, I saw
he
him
like
pass
drops
out.
and just passes off
I
on the
saw him
ground.
pass
Like
out.
those dudes are insane.
Their arms were all like,
Oh yeah, they were
jacked
just
up,
bleeding
too.
down their arms. And
Is that split up by weight?
no,
Is that like weight classes?
no.
It just-
I think this is it. This is the competition. And
You
it's,
do it or
yeah, you do it or you don't. And they like usually increases in weight throughout like each competition. A lot of times it'll increase in difficulty as it goes on. So whoever like either does the most weight or in the certain amount of time or does something a certain amount of times more than everybody else will. Those dudes are crazy.
the one guy we were lifting with yesterday, he had like a weightlifting accident back in the day that was pretty bad. But prior to that, Huff said that he was doing like his squat was close to like 800, his deadlift was close to like 800, and just nuts, man.
I wonder what he's going to feel like in 30 years.
I don't know. Huff had a picture he showed me of him and Brian Shaw, and dude, I didn't realize how tall Brian Shaw was because I saw him next to Eddie Hall, and you know Huff's like 5'11", and he looked like a child next to Brian
Oh,
Shaw.
yeah.
He said Brian Shaw was like 6'9" or
Those guys
something.
are insanely huge.
Yeah,
And they weigh like 400 pounds.
right.
And like 350 of it's muscle. Well, maybe not quite that much, but these dudes are insane. They have like 15,000 calories a day just to. I can't imagine that. It's like those NFL players.
Oh yeah,
Like 350 pounds, run like a 4.6.
yeah.
It's like,
Like a
what's that?
damn grizzly coming at you.
I can't imagine that. And they say they're not on PEDs.
Yeah. Come on now, bro. When all the Russians are on PEDs except for their figure skaters, or
I love
even
that.
the curling team.
Did you listen to that one? Oh, man.
I still haven't watched Icarus though.
I haven't watched Icarus, but we did watch The Dissident.
Yeah, you said that one was pretty.
And it was, yeah, it's pretty eye-opening when you realize, like, all of the shit, you know, and how everything is so intertwined. I saw something recently. I can't remember exactly what it was now. But it was something to do with, don't quote me on this, but it was something to do with the people that were going to, it was some kind of conference or award ceremony or something like that. And the people that were doing the presenting were part of the, what was it, the Times that Jamal Khashoggi was a journalist for?
Okay.
They were going, it was like a big group of the people from that company doing some kind of thing for some award ceremony in Saudi Arabia. And it was like, just like, oh, no big deal, whatever. Like, and like the interactions with, like the owners, like Jeff Bezos and like Saudi Arabia, like it was like, just like, oh, no big deal. You killed one of our journalists. No problem. We'll just keep on
Really?
keeping on. The reward ceremony or whatever was just recently, and it was like being presented, or they like New York Times was involved with, or something like that, and it was some kind of a ceremony or something in Saudi Arabia. I'll have to look it up, but it was pretty wild just to realize that I don't give a shit. And like when you really listen to that whole Jamal Khashoggi story, it's like some brutal shit out there.
Well, Jeff Bezos was there, like apologizing to his fiance, and embraced her in a hug. And she like, is that all for show then?
Oh yeah, because you know why? Saudi Arabia is rich as fuck, and they want money. I can't remember what the story was, even if I can find it. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something to do with like some of those people that were involved with the company that Jamal Khashoggi was a journalist for, were like basically hanging out with the Saudi government. Like,
Jeez.
I guess all goes back to the layer of corruption and not. I don't even know if you call it corruption anymore. It's just kind of status quo.
Which is scary,
which
man.
is even worse. Yeah, which is worse? Is it worse that it's corrupted, or is it worse that it's status quo?
I think the status quo, like it's become just the norm, and everything just seems to be so out in the open now. And it's like, well, here it is. We're so rich, we don't care.
Deal with it. Yeah. I did see that. I saw that story or that picture you sent with the plane.
Yeah.
I saw the guy. I saw his post. It says like, "It's happening tomorrow." He's like, I, paid the pilot to fly around San Francisco with was it "Suck My Nuts" Robin Hood or something like that?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I even gave the pilot extra cash to circle the Robin Hood headquarters a couple times.
That's amazing.
He's like, so go out there. And he posted the flight plan.
Yeah, I saw that
on social media, and he was like, "It's happening tomorrow." He's like, "Go out and take some pictures." I don't even live around there.
Yeah.
Some guy just paid a pilot to trail a sign that said "Suck my nuts, Robin Hood."
Let me take a little bit of the money I made off GameStop here.
It was phenomenal. Like, and I think I said it to you. Maybe all this shit and the capabilities of everyone being connected might be that thing that unites everybody and goes, "Oh, all the rich and powerful are all out to fuck all of us, regardless if you're blue or red or independent."
All it takes is some Reddit geeks trying to figure out the system.
Yeah.
Fucks everybody.
Yeah.
Well, fucks the rich, unites everybody else.
Right. And then they're shut down, like they're shutting them down. So maybe that's all it takes is for people to kind of realize that, hey, historically, the argument can be made that the rich and powerful have always tried to pit, everybody else against themselves because if you're too busy fighting with your neighbor, you don't realize that you're being controlled by people high up on the food chain. Yeah. And they think it's all good and grand. It's like that. I think I sent you that meme with, was it Big Bird riding the...
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was like
we ride tomorrow.
Yeah. It was like all these hedge funds are like, hey guys, this isn't funny. Like we have billions of dollars at risk here. Like, this isn't a game. And then Redditors, it's like a picture of Big Bird with a whip on like a wagon and a horse. It's like, we ride in the morning, bitches. Like, yeah, yes. And then they're calling for more regulation. All the people that don't want regulation to make money, they're calling for more regulation to keep the little guy out.
Yep, 100%.
Fucking wild.
100%. Dude, what do you think about Biden and all those executive orders? 40 plus now, right?
Yeah, in the first week and a half.
40 plus.
How does one determine if that's legit? Like that the news sources are actually that's 40.
He's been given a damn near a conference every single day.
About different ones.
Yeah, you can go on the register, the .gov register, and see all the.
Because I heard people saying that he hadn't actually signed that many.
I mean, I've personally watched him sign well over 20. Just on TV.
Probably. Are they different? Is it the same one that he forgets if he signed it or not?
if he can find his pen.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm signing here.
Yeah, I remember the first day I watched because I see him on because I have CNBC on the background, whatever. And this very first day, he signed it was right after the inauguration. He went back and signed I think it was 12 right off the rip. And he said, I'm signing this one. He used a different pen which kind of fucking irritates me. What are they doing with those pens? They have a tray of pens out. He has a stack of all these executive orders. He takes one, signs it, and puts the cap on, and puts it over, and takes what the fuck is this? And then he's been doing that every couple days, and he'll do a press conference where he does this little speech and goes over and signs another 5 to 6 executive orders. Like that's a real. Now, there is, obviously the right is reporting that as, he signed more executive orders than any other president in the first 7 days of office, or whatever, which is true, like by an exorbitant amount. But, and then the left's like, well, all these other, like Trump's had thousands of executive orders through his term and blah, blah. Well, yeah, I get that too, but we're like 2 weeks in here, guys. Like, let's just take the facts as they are right now. Like, I get it.
No one thought Trump was going to die in 2 weeks. So Biden's got to get the signing, bro.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I was listening to that one episode of Rogan where he was like
2 years.
He was like, 2 years. He's like max, and the other guy was like, well, he was like, you can tell the other guy was like made uncomfortable by it. He's like, come on, but really, Biden's gonna last more than 2 years?
Well,
No
it was Tulsi. She goes, can we not bet on a man's life?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I mean, I want him to be a superhero. And she's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want him to die. I'm just saying he's not gonna be president for more than 2 years.
What was she talking about in that episode where Hawaii thought that they were being bombed?
Oh yeah.
And like, so what? But she didn't. So she explained like how horrible it was. Like that the one guy said one son was clear across town from the other, and
He had to choose.
he would have had to choose. But she didn't really. I don't think I heard that
wasn't that
story.
the false alarm that happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Trump was at home. Big surprise. He was golfing, and somebody they literally ran to him with that news, and they were like, "Hey, sorry to interrupt your golf game, but like we think there's a nuclear attack on Hawaii." And they were like, "Well," he was like, "Is it nuclear?" And they were like, I don't know. That's all the information we have right now."
Well, then I think it was.
So how did that happen?
It was a glitch. The guy, something happened where the person that was in charge of the emergency broadcast system in Hawaii like hit a wrong button or something like that.
But that dude lost his
So
job.
then,
Oh yeah, for sure that guy's fired.
so then everything went
then
off, and
everything
everyone
went
just
off.
freaked out.
Everyone's phones got a text message saying, "Hey, basically,
So that one
grab your
guy
ankles."
dropped his daughter into a
Into a
sinkhole
manhole.
or a manhole,
Yeah.
and was like, "Come find me."
If you can. But like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on an island. Like, hey, bomb incoming. Like, take shelter. Especially being, and I mean, you don't realize how close they are to, I mean, Japan, China, fucking North Korea, or I mean, South. There's a lot of weird shit that goes on over there. Like,
Yeah.
It's insane.
yeah, and just to be able to think about that and go like,
I remember I was going to look it up, and then I forgot about it.
yeah, I think that one was the one she was talking about. It was a false alarm, but I mean, who knows? False alarms are getting thinner and thinner these days. North Korea has been basically said, yeah, we're building nukes, bro.
Yeah.
Tough luck.
Apparently, Trump and Kim Jong Un meeting just didn't do too much. Which is, dude, that's crazy that they met, man.
It is. Can you imagine that conversation?
No,
Trump. Kim, it's fine. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be the greatest.
You sound like Cartman and Trump put
Yes,
together.
yeah, I don't know. But
It was a huge success.
yeah, I could. It was probably the biggest you've ever seen, success wise. As far as that's from the wettest we've ever. Was it that Puerto Rico quote? It's from the wettest we've ever seen as far as water goes, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy though is just what he was saying. Basically, he was like, "Oh, we might have to destroy North Korea," and then he was like, "You know what? I'm gonna meet with them." Can you imagine being his team and being like, "Did
Jesus.
he just say he's gonna meet with Kim Jong Un?" Like,
Yeah.
oh my god! And then he did meet with him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what we need, though.
Yeah.
Talk it out. I don't think there's any talk. And that's the funny. In another little branch, I'll try to whatever. Like you have people over here in the United States. This is the kind of shit that I think about. Bitching about just stupid shit. Like, okay, let me take a step back for stupid shit. But everyone's so concerned about the transgender thing, people using different bathrooms, and they're pissed off because I can't use the bathroom that I want. Whatever, I get it. It's not an important topic. I'm not saying that it's not, but we've talked about 4 countries over there. Like, people don't even have like normal rights.
Yeah.
Even listen to the Glenn episode.
Yep.
Like, you can't even go buy a couch without special permission from the government.
Right.
and this is what we're worried about.
Yep.
Like these are the things that are tearing us
Or
apart.
getting an apartment. He's like, you have to know a guy just to get an apartment.
Yeah, to get an apartment. Or
Not, hey, Section 8, can you pay for my shit? Like,
yeah, that's the kind of stuff that blows my mind. And you have like Korea, like I can't imagine what it's like living over there, because Kim Jong Un obviously is. I mean, he's about as dictator as it gets. And I mean, if you've ever looked into it, they tell stories about when people like I follow a National Geographic, or a guy that has done photography for National Geographic, and he would travel over there, and he kind of talks a little bit about it. You could tell he's careful with it, but like things that he does that he's not really supposed to do, and like how he says it without really saying it, that he can, like, you can tell that when anybody travels over there, it's all a show. Like they take you on a certain, it's like they take you on like on a certain path to a certain area and to see certain things, and it's just all laid out, and you can tell it's all a facade.
yeah.
So it's like, what are those people dealing with over there that nobody has any idea about? Or the same thing like with Hong Kong this summer.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh yeah, autonomy. No, we're taking you over. We're throwing you in jail. Oh, you don't like it? Throwing you in jail. Done.
Or even going back to what the Uyghurs, like,
Yeah. Someone finally says, yeah, you know what? This is not a good thing. And it's just mind blowing that everybody's, like I said, not that their issues or their struggles in life aren't important, but when you compare them to other people's across the world, like, got it pretty good. Got it pretty damn good.
very good.
Almost too good. Like,
Well, for now, we'll see if that lasts.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But it's gonna be a wild ride. What are your predictions, Cass? None?
I don't have any predictions.
No predictions?
No,
No?
I don't know. I don't know. Can't even get into it.
No. Okay.
It's just, I don't know.
I think to me, it makes me thankful for what I got.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And just ride it out. See what happens.
Till the wheels fall off.
All fucking four of them. I ride on one wheel.
That meme you guys sent me about
I was just thinking
the press secretary
the one wheel, the redhead. Just the one.
and Saki or whatever her name is.
I think we made Fred feel uncomfortable last night
What's that?
when I sent you that meme about I'm no circle back girl.
Oh, yeah.
And your response, and then my response is Fred. I read it to him because I don't know, was playing his game, and he was like, "Jesus Christ, Cass," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, whatever. She seems like a good Christian girl. She says she is.
We're going to have to circle back around to that.
I love I get it, and at the same time, like,
I thought she did fine. Fred and I had not a disagreement. I thought she did fine. I thought she held her own, and she did fine. And he's like, she did terrible, and I was like, I think she did good.
If you listen to some of like the McKennedy stuff, like, she's really good. She was
Oh,
really good.
I know, she
phenomenal.
was.
Like, whether or not she believes the things that she was
Sure.
saying, she was
No, that's
Hella
what I
good
said
at her
last
job.
night. She was really good at her
I
job.
just enjoyed the shit she would say to the press.
yeah, like, just give it back to it, like,
Yeah. How about you go do some research onto that and research on that. Come back to me.
yeah, with an actual, like,
Yeah. A
educated
legitimate, educated question.
Yeah, and I'll give was it not Plansky or whatever her name is, the new one.
Is it Psaki?
Sansky, Saki, something. I can't remember
I
how
don't
to
know.
pronounce it. But, I'll give her a little leeway. Like, she's
brand
been in there for
new.
like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
maybe. I get it.
And look what she's working with, bro.
Right.
I told him, I said, there were probably things that they said, don't answer. Just don't answer.
Yeah.
Because we don't answer shit.
No one
just
answers.
completely
no
redirect.
One answers shit.
Yeah, right. But, like,
Smoke and mirrors.
but that's the part where she doesn't do a good job at. Like, make up an answer. That's what everyone else does. Like, at least sound. So, like, because what you're doing is you're giving the right, all these sound clips that make you look absolutely ridiculous. Like the one time she did answer it when they were talking about, I think it was the GameStop thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I am happy to say that, we have our first women's Secretary of Treasury. What the fuck
Like,
does that have to do with
yeah.
the question at
Yeah,
all?
that's what I
like.
said.
I was like, what? You might as well just circle back to it, because that makes even less sense. But yeah,
I thought they weren't allowed to say woman,
well,
lady, female,
dude,
mother,
that
sister,
drives me crazy too.
daughter.
You're not allowed
Aunt.
using pronouns, and then Pelosi, the person that introduces him, comes on there. She's like, as a mother and a grandmother. Whoa, wait a minute. I thought we weren't doing that anymore. That's the shit that I like to point. It's just the hypocrisy. Like, if you want to do that, whatever. But if you're going to do something, don't be a hypocrite about it.
Yeah, dude, what do you think? You think Pelosi looks in the mirror and, like, you think she thinks she's a good person, or do you think she even gives a thought about what a good person is or some of her actions, or she's just like an avalanche and there's just no stopping with the decisions she makes and what she does?
Oh, no, I think she's just I think she's just an incredibly selfish person. That's all it is. So she doesn't think about anything else. Like when she did the whole hair thing, and then she got caught when she was in that salon in the middle of the pandemic, when everything was shut down. She went in there to a salon without a mask on. What'd she do? She was pissed at the salon and said they set her up. Like, bitch, you know the rules. Like, your nephew put him in place. Who is Gavin Newsom? I don't know if you knew that.
I actually did not realize that was her
it's
nephew.
it's her fucking nephew. I don't know if it might be by marriage, but like, get the fuck, like, you didn't know the fucking rules. Quit it. And now we've had one of our highest death tolls. Everything's cool. We're opening it back up now. All the states and cities and everything that have been locked down. Nope, everything's all good. We're opening back up now when more people are dying than ever. And then did you see the Cuomo?
Yeah.
New York City, they misrepresented the people who have died in nursing homes by like 50%, if not more.
Jeez.
They misrepresented.
I didn't see that.
50%.
More or less?
More. Said they misrepresented the numbers of people that died in nursing homes.
And then what was it? Facebook with the hydroxychloroquine
What do you mean?
that they found that was effective, and that Facebook was limiting that information, and then they like apologized and said, "Oh, we're sorry. Someone made a mistake on limiting it or something." Or
we had one of the algorithms. Get the fuck out! I'm tired of your goddamn excuses. Fucking algorithms. Shut up.
I mean, someone created that. Like, someone should be held responsible.
Yeah, maybe. All right, if it was an algorithm, it was a biased fucking algorithm. Yeah. That's the shit that. Well, you've heard of Project Veritas? James O'Keefe. He was the one that. Well, he's broken quite a few things, but he said that I saw a post that of the 30. Is it today? I think today. I think they're supposed to release a video that was recorded from an insider on Facebook of Zuckerberg.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know who knows if it'll be worth anything.
So sell your stock in Facebook right now?
I
Is
don't
what you're
fucking
saying?
own stock
No, I
in
know you
Facebook.
don't. I know you
Those
don't.
fucking cocksuckers.
I know you don't.
Yeah, but it was something. I don't know. Who knows how? They always like to make it salacious. It's going to be a bombshell, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Gonna release the Kraken.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had the one of Jack Dorsey in Twitter saying that basically after they banned Trump, he was like, "This isn't the end of it. Like, we're going to continue to crack down on this stuff." And I don't know. It just goes back to how we talked about before. Let people say stupid shit and let people go, "Hey, that's stupid shit."
Yeah.
But
otherwise, when you cancel it, then you're like, it gives it some credibility or credence. So
at least in people's minds, it gives it validity. Because I know it's exactly where my mind goes, especially now. As soon as someone gets canceled, it's like, oh, you're afraid of what they said. Why are you afraid of what they said?
probably because it's the truth.
Yeah, it might just be stupid shit.
Yeah, it could be.
But if it's not, it's pretty wild. But I don't know. Who knows? What are you gonna do? What's that?
That light behind you is so bright.
Oh, so we can see your beautiful face.
That's why Aunt wanted me on here today. He was like, you know what? I'm fuzzy headed. You're beautiful. Everybody likes it when you're on the podcast. Could you just come down and save the day? And here I am.
Too much man. We needed someone to soften it up a little bit.
I am.
I always do hear people really enjoy hearing your beautiful voice.
I think it's. Never mind.
Inappropriate joke. Cancel. You pause
Fire
that
away. Fire
I'm
away.
just going to cancel myself.
Oh, jeez.
Do you ever feel like you do that? I feel like
Cancel myself?
we've
Yeah.
had that conversation.
I do.
I feel really, I don't know if it's me maturing or that I should be ashamed of myself, but I feel as though the last 8 months compared to years ago, I have really tucked my tail.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Sometimes I don't know if it's because I'm maturing and I just don't want to, or sometimes is it because of the position I'm trying to put myself in for a career? And is that a good thing, or is that, are you a sellout before you even get started because you're just not opening your opinion? I struggle with that sometimes.
No,
It kind of goes back to how you guys say, like, how you say something to me, which is different of what you would say to Tony compared to what you would say on here, compared to what you would say to your bosses. But sometimes I just wonder if I'm maturing or,
no, I think it could be both.
yeah.
I think there are some things that I would change the way I say them now because I've realized the ridiculousness of it. But there's some things I say that are ridiculous, but my intentions aren't to be ridiculous and, ignorant or whatever. But I would say it jokingly that I like, ooh, can't say that. Can't say that, someone will get mad.
Yeah.
But I'm also not like a professional comedian. You know what I mean? But like I still we've talked about before, like the intention of joking around, like you should be able to, if we can't joke about it, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Like you got to be able
And
to
I guess
laugh
I
at it.
have thoughts about the transgender stuff in the schools and the biological males playing with the females, but I don't
I think
feel
it's
like I would
stupid shit.
ever say anything because
I tell you what, if some dude's on the basketball course,
of course,
make making making home runs out there while my daughter's trying to kick a field goal. No, I tell you what, if my daughter's out there playing basketball as she gets older and some dude's on the basketball team with her kicking, no, fuck no, I'm gonna say some shit because that's stupid. As much as you want to say biologically there's no difference, you're a fucking idiot.
no,
Period.
there is a
Because
difference.
there's a difference. There's a biological difference between 99.9% of females and males. It just is.
No, I completely agree with you. It's the same thing as why, fourth graders don't play against sixth graders. It
Because
just
there's a
is,
biological difference
there's an
there.
unfair advantage. But sometimes I find myself not speaking my mind like I used to. And
Right. See, I think that one's an easy one for me because there's science. Science. That's become a derogatory term these days too. But there's a scientific difference there. I mean, you can't. There's so much data to prove it. Like, I don't understand how these people can say there's not a biological difference between a male and a female.
I don't think that they're not saying that. I think that they're saying
there's
that
people out there that are
if
saying
someone
that.
who's identifying as a female, they should be allowed to play with their counterparts. Or, they should be allowed to play with females.
No, I get
But I
that.
don't think that so Allison and I had that discussion, my cousin, and she said, well, it's just sports. It doesn't matter. And I said, but it does matter. Like if it doesn't matter, then why are you so gung-ho on allowing it to happen? Like, because it does matter. And she goes, well, it just needs to be fair for everybody. But the only way to make that happen is to just make all sports co-ed, and the best get to play. Everyone tries out. So then it'll just all be male, and those random outlier females, they get to play. So like, how's that fair for anybody either?
Yeah. No, I think it's just a weird argument. I don't know honestly, I don't understand the logical thought behind it. But there's people out there that say that there is no biological difference between a male and a female. Apparently that extra chromosome, whatever, doesn't mean anything. I don't know where that comes from, but it's just silly. Like I saw an article the other day where I don't remember if she was a teacher or something else. It was somebody that was I'm losing the most of it now, but basically they said they feel bad for heterosexual people and how like because they're just so ridiculous, and life being heterosexual is like disgusting and it's like a bad thing. like, okay, if you want to have that opinion, whatever, but just taking all of the everything out around that and just scientifically.
Dude, that's literally what I was thinking. You wouldn't fucking be here if
Yeah.
it wasn't for.
How you plan on surviving without hetero? Like, you just gonna just petri dish babies from now on?
No, I'm cool. I'm cool with people that think like that, not believing in heterosexual.
Yeah, please don't have more kids, because that's the
yeah,
dumbest
so,
fucking thing I've ever heard.
That's exactly what popped into my mind.
And I think that's what, to me, like when you really look at it, it's all boiled down to reverse everything. Which, you know, racism is a bad thing, sexism is a bad thing. Like, you know, all these different things, like, those are bad things. But doing the reverse of it doesn't make it a good thing now. Like, now you're doing the exact same thing. It just happens to be that you switch the placeholders.
Yeah.
Like, and if people can't realize that, like, you know, it's like the people that say, talk like, you know, all white people are racist. Well, no, that's inherently in itself a racist statement. Like, because you're grouping somebody by a specific determination. As soon as you do that, you are being the exact same thing you're saying that you're not. Like, it's like all men are pigs. Oh man, that's a double whammy. Pete is going to get me on that one too. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you do that, you are being whatever. Like, you're being the exact same thing that you trying to get rid of by making these sweeping generalizations.
Right.
And for people not to realize that, that's what blows my mind. I get why people are pissed off. I get why a lot of people really, you know, dislike the white cis male. I get it. I do. But when you say all white males are racist, you know, macho or chauvinistic, this, that, whatever, like, you put yourself in that exact position of the person that you hate.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think they look at it that way.
That's because they're stupid. I mean, if you can't see that, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you would say like a guy that hates all women. Well, that's bad. And being a woman that hates all men, it's the exact same thing. You're just switching the placeholders. And just because, you know, just because the one person that has been, I'll even use the term, systemically oppressed, is now trying to do it to the party that has been systemically oppressive, it doesn't make it right either way. Like,
The whole two wrongs don't make it right.
Exactly. Two wrongs don't make it right. It just makes two wrongs. Like, you know, that's all it does. So let's all get together. Fuck the hedge fund managers. Hedge fund managers.
You're trying to short the keeper.
They're already too short as it is. Just fucking them.
Dad jokes for days.
Yeah. Hey.
Kyrie encourages that shit. Fred did the dumbest thing the other day. And I said, Kai, that's the shit I have to put up with. She looks at me, looks at Fred, fevered, looking like shit. She looks at Fred and goes, I like it. I was like, don't encourage that. And she goes, but I like it.
That's funny.
Damn it.
It's classic.
That's awesome.
Oh, you both look like you're about to fall asleep.
I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
So am I. I was thinking about some sushi or something.
Okay.
Not thinking about sushi, but hungry.
Well, I mean, we started this out without really a goal in mind, and I think that's exactly where we got.
I was not prepared for
I
this.
think we hit on some decent subjects.
Yeah,
so.
you know.
Especially talking about like the veterans and kind of cueing in and people watching some of that stuff and Travis Mills and CJ and that's what is that called again? Just so people can the episodes that you guys were talking about.
Alive.
Yeah,
Alive.
so CJ's documentary was it's called Alive by Epics, because there's a couple of movies out there they're called Alive.
Okay.
But it's a documentary. You can find it on Hulu and Amazon.
Okay.
It's basically like a black screen with a like white silhouette of a soldier. Soldier. I know.
Man.
Soldier.
We're tired. He's drunk.
No, I had one.
It's 1:43.
One glass of whiskey. But that's on there. Phenomenal. So like I said, it's only an hour and a half. Bring your box of tissues if you're a crier, because it's pretty heart wrenching to listen to some of those stories. But it's really good. And then we obviously mentioned the Jamal Khashoggi story and the Dissident. That's only on Amazon Prime. You have to buy it, but I tell you what, for the work that Brian Fogel does, and he did an interview on Rogan as well that kind of talked about how he was really kind of upset because both, like, Netflix wouldn't take it, they wouldn't touch it.
Really?
Because Netflix will, well, obviously they didn't say this to him, but Netflix will frequently take down episodes and block episodes from some of their worldwide platforms
Okay.
that are particularly, trying to think of the word, critical of Saudi Arabia.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't know if you've ever watched the, what's his name? Oh, I used to watch it all the time. He does like little half an hour episodes.
Jamal something? Isn't that what his name is?
No,
The
I want to say he's Indian.
he is. I thought his first name was Jamal.
No, it's not Jamal.
He's funny.
He's hilarious.
He talks so fast.
Yeah, but he does like a little news show, and I can't find it. Oh man, it's like right on the top of my head too. Hassan Minaj. Hassan Minaj.
I was way off.
Yeah, Hassan Minaj does I think he's an Indian guy.
Gotcha.
He's also Muslim, but he does like it's like a half an hour, like it's kind of like it's comedy, but he goes over like actual news stories too, and he puts a bunch of stuff in. It's really good. But he has had multiple episodes taken down by Netflix because he was critical of, was it Samal MBJ or not MBJ SBJ? Can't remember his name. Man, I'm getting all mixed up. Maybe I'm foggier than I thought too.
See.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel pretty sharp right now.
Yeah, I usually
Burger with blue cheese you had last night.
Dude, it
Fucked up
always
all your
messes me
shit.
up. Got the meat sweats. Salman bin Saad. Yeah, that guy. Mohammed bin Salman. MBS. MBJ. MBS. Where he's critical of
That's the
leader of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. But they'll have his episodes taken down and whatnot.
Jeez.
And because Saudi Arabia is it's a lot like China where they control
Everything.
But obviously he was very critical of Saudi Arabia and the dissident. Brian Fogel was. So Netflix they didn't even touch it. And Amazon has it only to buy.
Gotcha.
So they don't it won't trend or anything on their stuff. They don't advertise it. And guy who owns Amazon, Jeff Bezos, owns, the New York Times, or I think it's New York Times he owns, and that's who.
Is it the Washington Post?
Washington Post.
Yeah.
So that's who Jamal Khashoggi worked for. So you would think out of all platforms,
Yeah.
Amazon would be like, yeah, let's put this front and center, but it's not.
Too much money lying in those pockets, bro.
Yeah. So that's what got me into listening the interview with him, Brian Fogel, and listening to him talk about it, and then seeing the pushback and all these companies are, we're not really worried about social justice and, equality around the world. We're worried about lining our pockets. But it's a really good documentary. And so if you're looking for something to buy, I think it's like $15-20 and support, Brian Fogel. It would be I would suggest it. Obviously not getting paid to say that, but it was really good. So
Cool.
I think we need more people like him telling at least as close to the truth as we can get.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So-
We need the truth right now.
You can't handle the truth. All right. And on that note, we'll end her off.
Cool.
Next week should be a good one. I'm
yeah.
excited. It'll be different. Fantastic. See y'all later.
Who's she bringing on?
Have to wait and find out.